Hey guys, it's Ravi. I'm CEO and co-founder of Social Ladder, and super excited to show you guys a little bit of the candidate discovery module today. This is a relatively new module, something we've been beta testing with some of our customers, gotten some great feedback, and have rolled out recently a new version of this. So first of all, this is an add-on, so if you don't have it, feel free to chat with your customer success rep, and they will talk to you all about it. And looking forward to having you guys try it out. So first of all, you open it up on the left using the candidate discovery menu item. And as this is coming up, I'll give you an overview of sort of what this thing is and why you'd want to use it. One of the main things we hear from our customers, once they start using Social Ladder and start to see the metrics and the positive ROI on ambassadors, is how do I add more ambassadors, right? Super logical question. And the answer is, partially the candidate discovery module. So what we've done with the candidate discovery module is we've created a way for our customers to look internally at their CRM, right, at their existing customer database, and figure out who are existing customers that they have that would potentially make good brand ambassadors. And that's part of what the candidate discovery tool is all about. What we do is we look at that data coming from your CRM system, and we're able to enrich it just using the email address, just using the name. We enrich that data. We do things like match up that email address to a person, find out what their socials are, look at their Instagram account, use AI to figure out the type of content they're creating, how engaged they are, and really surface those people to you that are going to be potentially good brand ambassadors so you can review them and then ultimately seamlessly invite them into the system. Now, before I get started, there are two fundamental use cases that we have seen, and these things can happen in parallel. One is customers that want to use the product to look at their customer database and look for brand ambassadors that might be, good candidates right in their customer database. And the other is those customers that have some kind of ambassador application process, right, where they might have a link on their homepage, apply to be an ambassador, or sign up to be an ambassador, or one of those things, and candidates are filling out a form, and then they're being evaluated using the candidate discovery tool. So when I show you this tool, the first thing you notice is it's super visual, right? And that's because, picking a brand ambassador is very much, picking someone who might be a good brand ambassador is very much a complex decision that requires you to look at the type of content they're posting, the size of their reach, many, many other factors. And so our goal here was really to pull that together and then create a seamless experience to drive people through a recruiting process. So what you'll see at the top is a little bit of a pipeline. It starts with pending, right? People that are in the pending status, those that I've deemed as qualified, those that I've actually invited to become members of a community, and then ultimately those that have been rejected or who I looked at and said, hey, you know what, not a fit right now. So before I go any further in sort of evaluating these candidates and showing you how that works, I want to talk about filtering. So with any system where you have a ton of information, how you filter that data, how you slice and dice that data, the capability you have is super important. One of the things we talk about internally at Social Ladder is it's almost like buying a house, right? You go to, a site like Zillow or one of those, and you want to be able to filter, the neighborhood, the type of house, the number of bedrooms. That's really what this is all about, right? So in this case, just to show you how that works, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to say, all right, I want to look for folks that have at least one Instagram follower, but maybe only folks that have up to 2,000 followers because I'm looking for a certain type of person. And when I apply that filter, you'll see the list change, right? And I can see how many candidates I have. And now I'm looking at kind of a more specific list. So most of our customers that are using this will do multiple passes on their list to sort of find the people that they're really confident in wanting to invite and then kind of take it further. So let's click on one of these records. So when I click on Rebecca's record here, I want to remind you that all we have from the customer database is really, Rebecca's email address and her name, and we're able to pull in many cases, things like a profile picture. We're able to link her to her Instagram account. We're able to look at all of the type of content she's posting, and using AI, we're figuring out what is a score for how attractive that content is. We look at things like, how often she posts, what is her engagement rate. So you can really get a sense of who Rebecca is from a social perspective. And then we also combine that with other demographic data. So we look at things like affinities, right? More psychographic data. What are things that might be interests that Rebecca has? And so Social Ladder is using a ton of public sources. We have a ton of our own machine learning here. We're using external sources to pull in that information. And we're doing also things like using computer vision to look at the content that Rebecca's creating on her Instagram and index that, right? I can imagine, obviously, if you're a car company and you're looking for brand ambassadors, you would want to look for folks that maybe are posting about cars, right? Because for them to start posting more about your brand, it becomes sort of a logical thing for them to do, right? So that you can get pretty, complex in terms of the type of data that's available and how you review that. All right, and you'll see there's a check and X button over here as well, right? Which I'll get to in a minute. But what you're really doing is we're creating an experience to review these candidates. You can see, different information is available on different profiles. Just like any other data tool, you're not always going to have 100% of the information that we can sort of pull, but in many cases, you have a lot of information. And especially when you're looking at a larger list, it becomes really powerful to find qualified folks in here and then sort of pursue them through a recruitment process. So if we had education information on Amanda, we'd have that here. Again, affinities, content, all that type of information is available. And we're also linking this with order data as well, which becomes really powerful, right? So I can tell on Joe, he's done at least one order with me. And so we can sort of pull in the information there as well. So you get a perspective of what type of customer are they, what type of potential brand ambassador are they, and really make those decisions. Now, once I decide that I want to pursue a candidate, I just hit approve. And what you'll see is it immediately surfaces the next candidate, right? So it's designed to be a really interactive, rapid experience for reviewing multiple candidates, but it also moves them to the qualified stage in the pipeline. And so if I click on qualified now, what you'll see is that I have the candidates I've previously reviewed. You can see Joe's now over here. And now I'm ready to invite them in. And the reason this is done as a pipeline is because you may be doing tons of searches, tons of filtering. You might even have multiple people using the candidate discovery tool. And you might then just want to select or favorite those individuals, right? And that's what you're doing by hitting that check mark. You're going into the qualified bucket. And now you're able to review those qualified candidates and then ultimately decide who you want to actually invite. And so what I can do here is I can either hit that send all button, right, and send a mass email with its own invitation code, or I can come in here and say, hey, you know what, I want to invite Joe. And so I can just, come in here, hit that, and then I can see the email template that he's going to receive, and I can even put in the tag. So I can group together the candidates, the batches of invitations that I'm actually doing. All right. And then once I invite Joe, he'll get moved over to the invited section. And then the system, because this is integrated with our invitation module, is tracking who's been invited, who hasn't been invited. And this becomes a really powerful way to actually push them all the way through the process and end up with more ambassadors. Now, I promised that I wanted to show sort of the other use case here where a brand has individuals that are coming in through maybe an online application. So I'm going to go back to my list of pending candidates. One of the things I want to point out is that many of our customers are doing both, and they'll have folks coming in through an application process, and then they'll also be proactively searching on the on the CRM database. And so you can really combine these data sources together, which becomes really powerful. All right, so I have a candidate here that I already know about that I'm going to find. Her name is Jen. All right, I filtered the list here for candidates whose name starts with Jen. And I have a candidate here called Jenny Johnson. I'm going to open her up. And what you'll notice is that there's an additional tab of information here, which is called application. So because she came into the application process, I can actually see all of the questions that I asked her on my application, in addition to all the enriched data that Social Ladder provides. And so the normal case here is that on a brand ambassador application, you'll definitely ask them for their Instagram handle, but you're not going to have a ton of information about that when you review that applicant. Well, the Social Ladder discovery tool enriches and augments that information and uses all the AI and machine learning that I talked about to then provide you with a full perspective of who this individual is. But it also allows you to then match that up with their application. And you can see I have all kinds of custom questions here that were asked during the application process. So this is, how the candidate discovery tool is being used for both reviewing applicants as well as reviewing customers that are in the CRM database. Cool. So that's pretty much the high-level overview of the candidate discovery module. Again, this is an add-on. Ask your customer success rep. This is an area that we're super excited about, and we're going to continue to invest in this area. So keep the feedback coming. Thanks, guys.